there's a balance in our lives that the brokering world can take away, real estate world and brokering world. So, I could be on my own as a mortgage broker doing my 150 deals, making lots of money, but I have no quality of life.
Yeah.
I have no support. It's all on me. You are the entrepreneur, you're the cake maker, you're the cake seller, you're everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure in that. If you want to be the richest broker in the room, you need to have a team because you cap out. We can only go so far by ourselves. And would you rather own a business? So would I rather have $1 million business and be the 100% owner? Or would I rather have a $10 million business and be a 50% owner? Pick your poison.
Easy math.
It's really easy math.
Thanks for tuning in to the Canadian Private Lenders Podcast, the show about starting a private lender in Canada, the mortgage industry, and the real estate industry. Your hosts are Neil Andrino and Ryan McNeil. Enjoy.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's episode 32 of the Canadian Private Lenders Podcast with your hosts, Ryan and Neil. Neil, how you making out, buddy?
Not too bad. It's my birthday today.
Yes, sir. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you very much. Feeling old? No, not actually.
Feeling old. Neil is still clinging on to his 20s, if you can believe that.
Shut the front door.
Yeah.
The airline suggests otherwise, but
Yes.
we're holding on.
You're not even in your 30s yet?
No.
I'm like the old dog in the
It
room.
makes me wild, but
Wow.
But we should start out with you're hearing another voice.
yes, we are.
That's not Ryan.
Yeah, that's not me.
So who do we have
Very
on today,
special
Ryan?
guest today. We've got Sarah Albert with Premier Mortgage, based out of Moncton, New Brunswick. Super excited here to have Sarah on. Prominent broker, of course, in New Brunswick. Prominent broker with Premier. I think the first guest from Premier we've had on, actually, and first guest from New Brunswick, too. So welcome,
cool.
Sarah.
New Brunswick is getting it and making a name for itself.
Absolutely.
Love that.
Yeah, big, important market for us here, of course. But thanks for
out
coming
those-
on, Sarah.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Calling out those Nova Scotia brokers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Sarah, tell us about yourself, the industry. What do you want to start with?
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
like such a loaded question.
Yeah, very broad.
Very broad. So,
Give us your history.
yeah. Oh my gosh. See, again, that could, like, how deep are we going?
You can
here,
go as
guys?
deep as you'd like.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
This
So
goes
I-
from mortgages to emotional trauma.
It totally could. It totally could in my world.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I mean, the reality is I'm a mortgage broker in Moncton, and totally that's been an evolution. So, mortgage broker now, but secretly I just would really like to be an entrepreneur, and I have lots of crazy ideas. So the evolution of that, what I've discovered is I just really like to solve problems.
Mhm.
And that's a really good skill to have as a mortgage broker. So yeah, I've been doing this for a long time just as a mortgage broker. My daughter just turned 18 and she was a year when I started.
Wow.
She was a year old. And so 17 years as a mortgage broker. Prior to that, I worked for HSBC Finance
Mhm.
and did really well there. So if you can sell first mortgages and second mortgages and do over $1 million a month at 20 and 30%, pretty sure you can do mortgages. So
Is that what the rates were?
that's how I ended up being a mortgage broker. I was actually with HSBC Finance. I'd come from Royal Bank as an underwriter. And I just walked in and I could just sell stuff. They're like, here, we've got to do these loans. They're 30% if they're unsecured. They're 20% if we don't do an appraisal. If it's a first mortgage, it's 12%. I'm like, wow. Like coming from Royal Bank, being like, you guys, I think, are evil, but where could I find deals and do this?
Yeah.
So I actually picked up the phone and I thought, I'm going to call everyone who's in collections. And the opportunity lied not around interest rates, it lied around payments. And so if you think of today, like Fairstone Financial, or you think of Desjardins, what they do are these loans with Leon's, with Kent, whoever it is. And so we'd have clients on our books that had these no interest, no payments, and they weren't making their payments. So I had all these phone numbers to call people in New Brunswick to be like, well, I noticed that this is happening and you're behind on your payments. Like, tell me your pain. And their pain would be, well, I have too many bills right now and I overspent. I'm like, imagine if we could put it all together and save you $1,000 a month. I never once talked about an interest rate.
Of course.
And so I became really, really good at this. And HSBC had me go to all the branches across New Brunswick and call all their collection clients and get mortgages. And then they evolved their system where they started working with mortgage brokers. And there was this old school, old dog mortgage broker, Ron Casey. He was like one of the original
I know Ron.
private lenders, mortgage brokers. And he was always trying to do some kind of crazy deal with me as a second at HSBC Finance. And I go into the office one day and he says, Sarah, why aren't you a mortgage broker? And my response was, I don't really know what a mortgage broker does. So, you know, coming from the A world of RBC and underwriting there and making decisions for branches and, you know, following the rules by the book to going to HSBC Finance where it was like, what's a credit score? Do you want some money?
That's insane.
To Ron Casey, who was like, what are you doing, lady? Like, you should be a mortgage broker. And at the time, I was pregnant with my daughter.
Yeah.
And I knew. I'm like, you know what, Ron? I'm going to become one of these mortgage brokers you speak of.
Wow.
And he said, yes, you are. And he said, you'll kick my ass the whole time doing it.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
He was kind of one of my inspirations and pregnant. And that's what I did. As soon as I came off maternity leave, I went right after it. Service New Brunswick started calling everybody with the second mortgage asking if they wanted to refinance. So I did the same thing.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's how I started. Yeah.
What did he tell you? What did Ron say to you that made you want to make the switch? Because if you're crushing it at HSBC, what was it the opportunity for more growth, the freedom, lifestyle? What did you know? It's like the Wolf of Wall Street when he comes in. He's like, if you show me a check for $1 million right now, I'll quit this job.
It actually honestly came down to ethics.
Okay.
So I would be sitting at HSBC pushing a piece of paper across the desk.
Yeah.
And the only reason that client was with me
Is it nothing else?
was because they didn't believe they were a very good client.
Yeah.
They did not believe the bank would help them.
Yeah.
And I knew in that moment that there are probably banks that would help them, but HSBC could turn it around.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do was scream across the table and say, you know, if you went and talked to this bank, I think they would do this for you. And so when I went out on my own as a mortgage broker and I got to call all of these people in Service New Brunswick, and this was the day before the changes of regulations. The joke was if you had 2 legs and a heartbeat, I could get you a mortgage. At that time, Genworth was insuring at 95% to refinance a client that had a 500 credit score.
Bring it back.
Please, God, bring it back. But I don't know if I could do any more deals than we already do. But in that moment, I became a mortgage broker because I knew that if I had access to all of these products, what could I do better? It never even occurred to me the money.
Yeah.
It was this entrepreneurial kind of make it right, single mom, I'm fighting back. And I'm going to tell you the truth that your bank's not telling you, that HSBC didn't tell you. It was the fight in me that made me a mortgage broker.
Interesting. I like that. That's
Yeah.
That's a good reason to make the switch, because if you're chasing something else, you can lose the fire. But obviously, you still enjoy today, and you're crushing it.
I love it today because it's not about the commodity of a rate. Like when clients call me and they're like, hey, Sarah, what's your best rate? I'm like, well, I'm a mortgage broker. What's your best credit score? Like, who are you? Like, tell me, what's your problem?
That's a really good response.
I don't know. It's like, you know what I mean? And it's kind of one of these things where when clients ask me that question, I say to them, well, I don't know. What is my best rate? Like, tell me more about yourself. Like, we have
know the story.
An ability to really learn the story and like think about, I mean, I've got an 17-year book of business. It's a big book of business. And I've watched clients from the bad credit to the fix their credit to they're almost debt free now.
That's
and
crazy.
like I'm doing deals for them at like Manulife One and they're buying rental properties or They're building their dream houses. Like I have seen clients through divorce, through death, and they call me to say, "Oh, Sarah, what would you do?"
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, that's what it's all about. Man.
That's a super cool background story. My key takeaway, though, is that private lending rates are cheap.
Oh,
We're undercutting HSBC.
You know what? There are times where I need to do a second mortgage for a client and send them off to Fairstone. It's the right fit.
Right.
Like I need to get some taxes paid, or I need to get some equity. Like, for example, if we're going to a bank that wants us to do an equity deal, I can't pay out debt. My raw TDS they'll only pay out mortgages. So I do a second mortgage to clear all that debt. So I'm just paying out mortgages. They qualify for certain products. But there are definitely times when the private lender can look cheaper. The place where in some of those situations, the private lender isn't cheaper is the fees. But also, is it the right client for the private lender?
Of course.
Like,
Absolutely.
Do private lenders really want to see a bunch of $25,000, $50,000 deals with bad credit people? Yep. I mean, you guys are in it to make money and solve problems. Yep. But you're not here to clean up people's messes. You're here to help people grow.
100%.
And I think there's been a misconception with private lending that it's like, oh, let's go to the loan sharks.
Yeah.
And that's like such a bullshit theory.
It is.
And my treatment of any private lenders that we work with is, would I lend them my own money? And is this in the benefit of everyone? Private lenders, rarely do I use them to clean up clients' messes.
We didn't even have to pay you to say that, Sarah.
No,
Thank you very much.
But you don't have to pay us because we have so many great alternative lenders that are specialized in that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Fairstone to do that. And quite frankly, we've got bankruptcies and proposals that they can go do and protect their equity. Yeah. Like, the advice to a client can't be to put this Band-Aid on this thing that I can't get them out of. And everybody's stuck in a deal and they're just going to lose their house anyways. Yeah. So that's not what private lending's about to me.
That's what I was just going to say, Sarah. We talk about exit strategy all the time on this show. And in that situation, where you got a 25, 30K second mortgage and there's no realistic exit strategy, why send them to a private lender? Right?
Well,
like there's no winning there.
They live in Haute Abajogan. No offense to anybody in Haute Abajogan.
Shots fired.
But no, because I love the people there too. I'm
we've lent there before.
You're in the middle of nowhere, and I have no alternative lender to take you out, and it's 5 years to fix your credit.
Yeah.
Or so again, private lending is a very specialized thing that I have a lot of fun doing. Because clients don't understand the cost of borrowing, but they just want us to take away the pain. But I'm like, how much pain do you want later?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if we don't talk about that, we're not serving anybody's best interest. And we're doing damage to the mortgage industry by doing those kinds of deals.
Yep. Well said.
Yeah.
You have a lot more, sort of, as a realtor and I'm listening to you have a lot more impact. Brokers have a lot more impact on someone's life, I think, than a realtor. Well, I would say that a realtor would. Mm. And it's neat. Like, you can actually really help someone get through their situation, look at their whole picture. Realtors just transacting the actual physical real estate, and no hate on them. I'm sure my colleagues would be upset with me saying that, but
I really think, though, like, again, you're talking to a girl that owned propertyguys.com.
Did you do Property Guys? Do you still own it, or did you sell that?
Oh my God. That's like, we're going to need 3 podcasts.
That's okay. Let's go into it.
Sorry, I'm just like, what?
Totally.
How was that?
It was a shit show.
Was it?
Yeah.
I looked at their franchise for a bit.
Yeah, don't do it.
No? Uh-oh.
Don't do it.
There's a good story here.
There's a good, again, not to hate on propertyguys.com in any way. I had a dream.
Uh-huh.
And my dream was exactly the point you just made.
Yeah.
And my real estate teammates understand that I have a very high expectation of the realtors that we work with.
Yeah.
And that expectation isn't just transactional. You must care for your client. You must think about their future. We really have to care in a circle for a client. So us brokers are very influential.
Yeah.
So I had this dream. And Owen Ryan's dad was part of it, and he was part of the business
Oh.
plan. This is how long I've been around the private lending. And Graysbrook had actually just started. That's the old. They had just
20 years ago
started.
almost now.
Yes, and so I was a brand new broker, and I believed that the real estate industry was fundamentally broken. And as our house prices continue to increase, real estate fees continue to increase, and clients are making alternative choices. And they're making their alternative choices for a lot of reasons, everywhere from saving money to feeling that they know the house better. They might have had a bad experience with a realtor. Whatever their reason is, they were choosing to sell privately. And I thought, man, these clients are going at this, selling privately, and they really aren't sure what they're doing and
Yeah.
aren't being guided. What would it look like if a mortgage broker was on the front end, not advising them on real estate, but making sure they knew all the right people to talk to?
Yeah.
You need to talk to a lawyer now and get that in writing, that purchase and sale.
Mhm.
You're buying privately. Please make sure you do an inspection, get a property disclosure.
Yeah.
Not advising them on how to do it, not telling them how to price, but you had this professional in the background. So my whole business plan was around, what if mortgage brokers were part of the private sale process? And I went to Property Guys with this. I was just shy of 32. I was young like you, full of piss and vinegar and ideas, and I thought I knew everything.
I do.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Well, you just
Continue.
we need to get older
yeah,
and have our
yeah,
butts
yeah,
kicked
yeah.
in.
A couple more years now.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
Couple
it's
less
coming
hairs,
to
too.
you. A few lessons here and there. And I had this dream, and I went to Property Guys, and I presented to Property Guys this idea of how mortgage brokers could change the private sale experience. And they're like, wow, we never looked at it that way. But they didn't want to give me a chance. They did recognize I had no money. I had an idea,
Yeah.
and I didn't quite have enough experience. I just had a lot of grit.
Sure.
And so I built a whole business plan around it. They were like, we'll give you a chance, but we got to get to know you. I said, oh, yeah? You want to get to know me? I'm buying your Moncton franchise. You're going to get to know me, bitches. So I bought the franchise
No way.
Cool.
with no money.
Nice.
Went to a private lender.
Love to hear it.
Tried Owen first. He's like, I'm not getting on board with that. You're crazy, Sarah. Like, what are you doing? But I did it anyways. I was determined to really make a change. And I did this for 7 years. I owned the Moncton franchise.
Yeah.
While
While brokering.
brokering.
Lots of free time. And raising a young child.
Two, yeah. And single mom. And so I really believed fundamentally that brokers, we had such an impact. And I wanted to be part of change, and I could see technology changing. And so we did. I bought Moncton and St. John. We owned half of New Brunswick for the franchise side.
Yeah.
And it took us about 3 years, and we actually raised capital
Ooh.
and did the whole thing, and we were awarded their national mortgage company. So I owned
Cool.
PropertyGuys.com's national mortgage company.
Very cool.
I still own the domain PropertyGuysMortgage.com. I
Up for
still
sale?
pay for it. Nope.
Oh.
I'm holding on
Hold-
to that. That's mine.
Nice.
I bought it. It's a memory. It cost me $30 a year. I'm keeping it. I'm keeping
Worth
that.
it.
Yeah. So that was a really big learning journey for me about running a business, having staff, cash flow, private lender, success and failure. I mean, you name the lesson. It was the best education
Cool.
I ever had.
That's awesome.
I don't, not to keep belaboring on that because we have other stuff we want to talk about. Just super quickly, why'd you sell it or close it down?
Because I couldn't see an exit strategy.
Got it.
And I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And the business wasn't going in the direction that Sarah and I wanted.
Yeah.
Sarah's my business partner.
Yeah.
And we were driving down the road one day, and I said, we're $1.5 million in. And can we recover this? Or should we go back to our roots and do what we need to do and have full control and no franchise system telling us what we can and can't do? And so I made a fundamental decision in that moment to shut it down and take a $1.5 million loss and have to go through a personal bankruptcy and a business bankruptcy and really, really learn what it is to be a real client. And
Wow.
that's my superpower.
Wow.
is understanding that you can be really successful and also really fail hard.
How was that time? Is that like the hardest time of your life, would you say? Or
I would say for sure it was one of the hardest times of my life for my ego.
Mhm.
It was more my ego of this. I have a really sassy swing about my attitude, energy about me. And what I had to learn through that was that I actually did that out of insecurity. I was trying to
Yeah.
prove to everyone that I was somebody,
yeah.
Mhm.
and then I had to lick my wounds on the failure. So at that time, I was on the board of directors for Mortgage Professionals Canada. I had
Yeah.
to resign. I had helped the regulator build all of the licensing in New Brunswick at FCNB. I was their face. I was part of the Wallace McCain Institute. And I had to say, I'm done. I am going to fold this up and do something different, but I'm going to protect my team, which I did. Brought them back to Premier,
Yep.
and they helped Dawn build some stuff, a whole other story. And I went down with that ship, and I owned it. And I called every investor, and I sat in front of them. There was one investor who said, I don't know how you lasted this long. You have the most grit I've ever seen. I had to sit in front of FCNB and ask them to keep my mortgage license because I was going through a bankruptcy, the people that I helped build the licensing with. It was one of the most humbling experiences of my whole life, and I would not change it for anything. Like, I wouldn't
Yep.
be where I am today as I am today as a human. The trust that my team has in me, the faith that clients have in me, if I hadn't been that vulnerable to say, hey, I tried, I believed, and I didn't make it. Even all of my investors would still invest in me today, I'm sure of
Yep.
it.
I
So,
respect the hell out of
a
that.
lot of
That
pride.
is an incredible story,
Yeah.
Sarah. And as Neil and I like to say, no mistakes in life, only lessons.
Just lessons.
Mhm.
Yeah, best lesson ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
yeah.
Where are we going next, Neil?
Well, you brought up your team, and I think maybe it's time to get into that. So again, that story, it's really interesting here. But you mentioned you have a team now in the brokering space.
Yeah.
So did you had a team before all of this?
Always.
So you kept your license, maintained the team, and then continue to run forward with that? What happened from there?
Well, kind of. When you're a mortgage broker and you're going to go through financial distress and any kind of bankruptcy or any kind of change, you also learn how to pivot really quickly.
Yeah. yeah.
You're smart.
Yeah.
I didn't just be like, oh, I'm going to shut her all down today. I planned that for a year.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
So my business partner, her name's Sarah. She was Sarah Howard at the time. She's Sarah Wright. She's gotten married. Her and I have a really, really special relationship.
Mhm.
Every company needs nuts and bolts. I'm 100% a nut, and she is 1,000% the bolt. So what Sarah did was she opened up the company, and Don needed someone to build a fulfillment team, and he needed staff to do this. And I had done this for Property Guys, and now I was closing a company. So here was a whole team of people. And so they went to Premier and helped build that. And I went through my bankruptcy and I did my thing. And when I was ready, I went back to mortgage brokering. So technically, really, I work for Sarah Wright. Yeah.
That's cool.
So technically, I mean, we are business partners for sure now. But at that moment, I had to, again, humility is I had to have leadership. You can't always be the leader.
Yeah. So to bring it back a little bit further, when did you start the team? So you had originally started the team then?
Mm-hmm.
And how much earlier prior to that, prior to all the stuff that went down, had you started the team?
So,
And why?
well, I needed help. I had too much work. I had a franchise and a big mortgage business. And I was opening a national mortgage company. Like, I was going to be a baller.
Yeah.
Like, I was a big wig, man.
Yeah.
Like, I need people.
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
people to be
Yeah.
like, I got a team. Look
Yeah.
at me.
Yeah.
And so I mean, that would have been back in 2011, I started building that team. And for example, Sue Pointer, who's on our team,
Yeah.
has been with me since 2012 through all of the business changes.
Damn.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Sue and
She's
Sarah
awesome.
have been with me from 2012 on. And they have been through every bump. We have gone through this together. We have cried. We have been vulnerable. We've grown this company to a place that it's not just about them being my team or my staff. We're family. I care about how Sue is doing. And then today, we have 2 younger ones, 27-year-old Emma, who's my oldest daughter, is now doing fulfillment and compliance.
Brought her into the mix.
She's in the
You're a
mix.
family business now. A true family business.
Kayla Pointer
Yeah.
is Sue's daughter.
Yeah.
She's 27 and working. So we raised our children through this business, and they're now part of it.
That's neat.
And so, like, it's not a normal team per se, like you would see. Like, there's a real bond in this team. Like, you see us coming, and it's like this posse, and everyone's like, you can't penetrate us very easily.
Yeah.
We're pretty close knit.
Which is the best way to be.
Well,
It gives you a lot of strength as you grow forward.
Well, it's how we grow volume.
Yeah.
Is commitment, dedication, and trust. Like, I'm sure other brokers out there, and we know them all in Halifax because my team did their fulfillment. My team worked for the Jack Camerons and did all the stuff for Matt Wheeler and Steve Sullivan. They all want Sue. They probably would pay her more than I do. And me and Sue talk about this. Sue knows this, but Sue knows she's safe.
Sure.
And she is recognized in a different way than just money. This isn't about money, this game. It's not only about money.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
That's really cool.
I had 2 more questions on the team. So, because I'm sure we have brokers that listen that are either considering joining or creating a team. I guess what would be, number one, the hardest thing with having a team or that you've experienced in having a team? And then what is a benefit for someone looking to join a team?
So it's kind of twofold. So definitely, we'll talk about what the good things are about a team. If I go on vacation next week, well, I've got Sarah and Sue and Kayla and Emma and Courtney, because Courtney's also been with me since Property Guys days. She's on maternity leave right now, but also a 10-year employee. And so there's a balance in our lives that the brokering world can take away. Real estate world and brokering world can take away. So, I could be on my own as a mortgage broker doing my 150 deals, making lots of money, but I have no quality of life.
Yep.
I have no support. It's all on me. You are the entrepreneur. You're the cake maker. You're the cake seller. You're everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure in that. So being part of a team gives you some freedom. If you want to be the richest broker in the room, you need to have a team because you cap out. We can only go so far by ourselves. And would you rather own a business? So would I rather have $1 million business and be the 100% owner? Or would I rather have a $10 million business and be a 50% owner? Pick your poison.
Easy math.
It's really easy math. So having a team brings a camaraderie and a safety and a security. Like, I'm a solopreneur. What if I got sick? Like, does my business just die? I watch realtors right now who've gotten sick and their businesses just die and they have to come back and rebuild it.
Yeah, there's no safety net, right?
There's no safety net. And so my team brings a ton of security and a ton of fun. Because we're so close-knit and inappropriate. And even Sarah, right, hates to be in the office sometimes because the things we talk about, she's like, we need an HR department. And I'm like, I am the HR department. No more babies for you guys. So I've done my 8th maternity leave in 7 years. So the really hard part about a team is the right fit.
Yeah.
Like, I have lots of people that would like to join our team right now because they want what we have in way of skills and knowledge, and they feel that, we can help them in some way. But they're not there for the right reasons, those people. Like, if people are coming because they want to be on our team because they're going to be, again,
deals.
The richest broker in the room, I'm like, no, that's not what it is. Like, I pay myself $125,000 salary and drive a 2016 car to make sure that we have so much financial security. That's the type of brokers that we are. We're very similar to what our average client looks like, right?
Yeah.
So for us, the human resources side of it is really the fit of the person. Like, my team specifically is not built on ego. I have the biggest ego in the room. That is, my team will say, yes, Sarah, it's all about you. And they roll their eyes. And then they do the opposite.
Yeah.
So definitely fit is the most, but the biggest challenge when you're dealing with any team is not only the ups and downs of your own mood, especially as a salesperson. Like, you can't be a strong salesperson and not have some kind of ego, big personality, crazy highs and lows. Like, we're super, super hyper, and then we're crashing. I'm like, oh my God, I lost that deal. I'm going to have no more deals ever for the rest of my life. Oh my gosh, I'm so dramatic.
We've all felt it.
We're salespeople.
Yeah.
So when you're a salesperson, I have Sarah who's like, yes, Sarah, you lost a deal. You will get another 5 deals in the next 5 hours. Can you please calm down? Like, she's very logical. But on a team, you're also dealing with all of their personalities. And with their personalities come their family things and the kindness and empathy of they're having children and want to grow their families. Like, I have a broker that worked for us in Ontario, Jonathan Gibson. And, he said, Sarah, what if I want to grow and do this? I said, if you don't grow bigger than me, then I'm not doing my job as your leader. And today, Jonathan has a commercial lending company. He does some stuff in Halifax, and he's grown his family. And he's not with me anymore. But I'm pretty proud that he's not with me because we've done the right thing by people.
Sure. Yep.
That, when you have a team, you are not number one. A good leader eats last.
Yep.
It's always been my theory. So when we went through our hard times with the bankruptcy and I had to go down, every single one of my team had a salary and safety and security. I had to go pay for that. And that's not a martyr. I'm not a martyr. My job when you're an employer is to keep your team safe. And if you don't have that logic, you will not have loyalty. And loyalty is the only thing that builds strong companies. Always loyalty.
Yep.
Big lessons here.
Well, I'm old. I'm a lot older than you. You'll be talking like an old person like I am when you're almost 50 too, right?
Let's go in a different direction here.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the New Brunswick market. Okay. I'm super passionate about this. Obviously from Moncton.
From
I know
there.
you're a proud Monctonian as well. So
I'm actually from Toronto.
You're actually from, okay. I knew you were from away. So when did you move?
All of this attitude comes from Upper Canada.
Yeah, we've got a bit of that on our team as well. But, that's okay.
I've been in Moncton for 30 years.
It's not a bad thing. 30 years, okay.
Yeah,
right on.
I've raised my family in Moncton. I'm Monctonian.
Sure,
for sure.
Absolutely. So the Moncton market has been on fire for years. What is your outlook for New Brunswick or Moncton specifically, short and long term?
Well, I'm a huge believer that we're going to continue to grow. I think that Moncton is starting to, Moncton, St. John, and Fredericton, all of New Brunswick really offers different things for different reasons for different clients. But as things continue to be more and more unaffordable in other parts of Canada, guys, even Halifax is becoming unaffordable.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so New Brunswick still has the access to all of the stores, easy highway access, amazing parks. You can get to the beach. You can have fresh air.
Yep.
I think Moncton and all of New Brunswick, quite frankly, is going to continue to draw people in that are talented, smart, and with that comes money. And those people are selling houses in our bigger provinces like Ontario and BC, and they are coming here for quality of life. They are coming here to rejoin their families because they left during a time when they couldn't make any money in New Brunswick. They're coming home to raise their families in Atlantic Canada. Yep. The fact that I can drive anywhere in Moncton in 15 minutes, like, wow.
Yep.
Like, when you're living in Toronto and you can't even, everything in Toronto is 2 hours away.
Can't get to your driveway
10
in 15
kilometers.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that, New Brunswick will continue to grow because we offer a lifestyle and an access that other provinces are not offering. It's always kind of been BC with its beautiful mountains and its trees and all of this, but now BC's so unaffordable.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, right now, BC's on fire. And it's a little bit scary to live in those zones.
So we're not talking
right
about
now.
necessarily the market. We're talking
No,
about the actual.
no, literally.
Yeah,
the
they're
literal-
literally on fire.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think with climate change, I think with the migration of people, think of all of the new to Canada folks that are coming that we really need them. We don't need engineers and professors. We need carpenters and
Sure.
plumbers and
Yep.
electricians to come from
Mhm.
outside of the country. How would they live in Toronto?
Yeah.
They're coming here. So our market will continue to be squeezed and our prices will continue to go up.
Yep.
And we're going to continue to not have enough houses, especially if the New Brunswick government continues to make the decisions that they're making,
Mhm.
because we're not being encouraged to invest money in New Brunswick right now, which we desperately need.
Yeah, let's go a little bit deeper on
Just like
that.
that.
So I want to hear your real opinion on this, Sarah. So
You were kind
So-
of giving it to us on the way up the
so
staircase.
Neil, you tried to get me to stop talking. I might not have my spunk anymore. I might have lost it on the first round.
No,
She
it's all good.
Started going off. And I was like, we got to get microphones on. We turn the microphones on.
Yeah. So obviously, in the last several months, there's been some tax changes across the country, especially on purpose-built rentals. The federal tax has been eliminated on these to encourage more building. Nova Scotia and PEI, obviously the two neighboring provinces to New Brunswick, have both waived HST as well. But Mr. Blaine Higgs has refused to do this in New Brunswick. And the recent results are showing that New Brunswick is significantly lagging behind in starts.
We are.
Behind PEI and Nova Scotia just to start 2024. And I've also read recently and I've seen there's lots of statistics out there that show that New Brunswick is in the worst situation for inventory for the amount of people coming into the province, right? So let's talk about this. What's your opinion and thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's twofold. So one, New Brunswick, first of all, from an investment point of view, one, they're not waiving the HST. Cool. Great. Thanks. So can we then maybe get rid of our double taxation on rentals?
Yeah.
This is a scary thing. So we have so many people that are coming new to Canada, young people. These are not people that are set up for buying yet. They're not ready. They must rent. But they can't rent anything because the average rent in New Brunswick is one of the highest in the country. This isn't only due to lack of inventory. It has to do with the fact that we're double taxed. So they got to give somewhere.
Yeah.
We can't say, so in the building that needs to happen, the purpose-built rentals, the ones we're seeing being built currently in Moncton. I don't see the cranes necessarily in St. John and Fredericton because I don't live there. But I sure see the cranes that are in Moncton right now. And my spouse is a commercial contractor and runs Avondale.
Yep.
So I understand the commercial side of things as well. So what's happening right now in in Moncton is we're building all of these beautiful buildings, but the starting rent is $2,000 a month. So it's not even that New Brunswick needs to take away this GST and this double tax. They need to encourage affordable housing. If you have a client who's come from out of Canada and they've been brought in by Subway or A&W to work there, and this person is making $17 an hour, and their spouse is making $17 an hour, they cannot afford more than $1,400 a month in rent and feed themselves. But we want them to come to Canada, but we don't want you to eat.
Yeah.
Please work.
Yeah.
But don't eat and live on the streets.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I think that New Brunswick right now, with the potential that it has, our government has a lot of power to encourage this. They have a lot of power to help with grants that help to bring in affordable housing, which will help to reduce what we call our homelessness issue. Our homeless issue, these people are working people that work minimum wage but cannot afford an apartment in Moncton, and they go live rough on the streets.
Yeah.
We don't have a homeless problem. We have an affordable housing problem. And until we house these people, they can't heal, they can't deal with any drug addictions. They can't even get a job because they don't have an address. So affordable housing is the issue in New Brunswick. And so many investors will come and put that money because there's money there to be made.
And I agree with everything you're saying. Everything you're saying. To your point, though, with the taxation, so people know the double property tax, that's property tax that we're talking about. So on an annual basis, they're paying twice as much as non-rental real estate. And then as well as the additional 8% on construction that they're paying, that a bunch of other provinces now have said that they're not going to charge. By keeping those in place, it keeps your current rental rates higher because your operational expenses are higher. And then as well for construction, that extra 8%, which is huge. There's almost nothing that can move the needle that much. Not financing, not a single product within the build process. By doing that, it's slowing down starts. And I totally agree with your point on the affordable, but really to get there, there's also the aspect of if you just have more units, the rental rates are going to come down, right? If you remove double property tax, rates will come down. Now, it's not going to provide the deeply affordable that I think you're talking about, but here's the way I always put it. If you put 1 million units in Moncton right now, empty units, rents will go to $200 a month because they'd all be empty,
they'd
right?
all be empty.
So if you actually spur the construction of a ton of units, you're going to slowly have that effect where it starts to bring down the rental rates. And the other thing it's going to do is put less pressure on the old inventory. Because right now, old inventory, you're like, get out because I can go up $1,000 a month on you.
Yep.
But if there's a ton of brand new units and you really can't do that anymore, it's going to leave the old inventory to remain.
But here's the risk that our investors are seeing is one, it's costing them so much to build.
Yeah.
And then they've got to run this with their double taxes and they have to run, they need a certain amount of rent.
Yeah.
And our investors are also a little bit fearful of that there's too much inventory and rents do come down. How do we run these buildings that we just overpaid to build?
Right.
Yeah.
So nobody's happy here.
No.
Nobody is winning in this situation. Like if you even take a small investor, I have a client buying a property that has 2 units in it. It's a duplex, single family, in-law suite downstairs. It's $460,000 house. Cool. They're putting 20% down. They're buying this rental, almost $4,000 a month in rent. Let's talk about the $8,000 tax bill annually on that property.
It's psychotic.
Crazy.
How in the world can we even encourage our small investors? How can we encourage even, I'll use myself as an example. I live in a huge duplex downtown. I get my owner-occupied rate for half of my house, and I'm double taxed on the other half of my own property. My taxes are $7,000 a year, and I live in it. But what about the clients that would like to have some rental income and would like to put another suite to help with the housing or an auxiliary suite in the backyard that we're now allowed to do? Those people aren't doing it because the tax bills is what our everyday clients. So this is a collaborative effort of not just investors, but our own mom and pop shops that want to continue to grow some family security.
And just as a side, they make up 70% of the rental market.
Yeah.
So 70% of rentals are operated by your independents that would be sub like 10, 12 units.
Yeah.
So it's like this just makes the barrier even harder. And we need to be able to spur these 4 units, 6 units, 8 units, duplex homes. Like we need those because ultimately they really actually the ones that fix the market.
Well, and those markets also create good societies. Because if we do purpose-built, 50 units, all affordable, and we pile all of this we create one neighborhood. But if we can put pockets of different levels of income and different levels of family, then these communities thrive as they support each other. But I mean, even for Sarah and I right now, we've had 5 rentals in Moncton. We're about to go down to 1. It is not financially feasible anymore. By the time I pay a property manager, the double tax, I have one property that's $10,000 in property taxes. I'm selling these. And most of the people that are actually buying our properties are other investors and they're just jacking up the rent.
That's the only way to make it feasible.
It's crazy. Why don't we keep these people in their homes? So I think it's a combination of a government and a social issue that, as Canadians, we have a huge opportunity to do it right. And in Atlantic Canada, I think we could even do it better than other places in the country. And we could really pivot.
We're early stage. We're early on. We have an opportunity to fix this.
For sure.
Right. We're not too far
We're not built
gone.
out yet.
No.
Right. And we have lots of land.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love this.
The problem's
like
been
the idea.
identified at least. It
Yeah.
just need the work to be done.
Yeah.
Let's pivot into, before we wrap, into private lending a little bit. I just want to kind of touch on your experience in this. And I know you talked about it already, Sarah, but maybe you can just talk about how you use this as a tool
How
to
great
help
we
your
are.
clients and how you help your team identify what's potentially a private deal.
Well, I have a rule on my team. Don't decline anybody who has any amount of equity or cash. I don't care how bad their credit is. I want to see the deal. So
Good.
it's pretty simple. My team knows. They're like, they even tell clients on the phone, oh, you're a Sarah Albert client. You need to be talking to Sarah Albert. So, I mean, my team recognizes that there's deals everywhere. I mean, when Sarah first started as a mortgage broker coming from TD, she thought some of the stuff we did was crazy. She's like, there's no deal here. I'm like, yeah, there's a deal here. We're going to do this. We're going to put a blanket on this other property and we're going to build this house and do this equity takeout and do this other one. And she's like, where'd you just go? I'm like, oh, I'm 5 deals down the road. So our team recognizes it really well, only just from experience. They just know they're my types of clients.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that was your question of
Yeah.
how do they
Yeah.
recognize it? Yeah.
Mhm.
They're pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you've been doing it for 17 years.
I suppose.
Yeah.
But there's 3 kinds of equity. Does the client have the skill? If they don't have the skill, meaning the sweat equity, do they have money? If they don't have any money, do they have some real estate I can poke at?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like there's some kind of sweat equity, cash equity,
Yep.
real estate equity, family equity.
Yep.
There's lots of questions to be asked when a client's trying to accomplish a product.
Yep.
Every time. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, and I mean, private lending for us, clients don't even understand how it actually saves them money. So, perfect example right now, I have a client who has a property that they already have a house on. Current value, let's say, is $250.
Mhm.
They only owe $60.
Mhm.
They want to build. They need a construction draw. Bank won't touch it. It's an existing property. They won't touch it. They're not doing construction
Crazy.
draw.
Yeah.
Private will. My as complete value is $500. Well, these clients are skilled tradespeople
You know what they're doing.
who know what they're doing.
Yep.
And work in this world. And I have every single quote. And these clients need $250,000 plus the $60 I have to pay off. They need $310,000. Nobody will say yes to them. They have one bank that'll say yes only if they use a contractor. Well, the contractor costs $350,000. So we'll say yes to you if you spend more money and do
You
it
run
the
more
way we
risk of running
want.
out of money.
Yeah.
And I said, then, well, this private lender we have is going to charge anywhere from a 6 to 10% fee. The rate is interest only, 12.99. You pay per draw. This is what your cost of borrowing will be. So it's going to cost you about $20,000 in the end by the time you've carried it. Instead of $90,000 to pay a contractor to get a yes.
Mhm.
Tell me who's cheaper.
That's actually a really good point.
And
We don't
that
think we've
client
talked
has
about this.
way
Yeah.
more equity at the end.
Yeah.
I have created a financially viable client
Yep.
who has kept their equity and used their sweat equity to build that home.
Yep.
I like
Very
that example.
interesting.
a
Yeah,
lot.
so we do a lot of that.
Yeah.
That's my specialty.
Yeah. Like that self-employed contractor is just like the ideal client profile for construction loans.
Oh, they're my favorite.
Yeah. On the private side, I mean, specifically.
Oh, I have 2 of them on the go right now. They're like, I don't want to go and build decks anymore. I want to build these houses.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I got a deal for you. I'm like, how many do you want to build?
It's also the speed. Speed's a nice part. Like
Oh, the speed.
maybe
and
chasing
the-
a bank for the draw for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Oh my
Like,
God, we're chasing the bank for an approval for 6 to 8 weeks.
Tell us how great
Wild.
we are. Sarah.
That is crazy.
Just tell me more.
Like I can submit a construction draw mortgage because I'm a unique broker. I never do any kind of private without full appraisal upfront and all of the documents. So Keystone loves me because they know what
Make it easy.
I don't send in a deal for approval. I just send in a deal to get my approval.
Yeah.
It's already approved because I've already approved it in my head. because I have all the paperwork up front.
Yeah.
You don't send. I'm not going to send it to be underwritten. I'm going to say, "Hey, I packaged it for you. I know you'll really
Send
like
me the
it.
money.
Yeah.
Just can we
Let
have
me
the
know when
money?
the commitment's ready.
Can we close in 2 weeks? Yeah, sure, Sarah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
so as a broker, my job is to underwrite and package the deal in a way that fits for the lender, whoever the private lender is. And different private lenders have different appetites for
Sure.
different things. Like what I would send to Keystone is not necessarily going to be the same thing that I send to Atlantic Mortgage Solutions or Gracebrook.
Sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Everyone has their piece of the pie. And it's always about all deals have all appraisals up front. Because if your real estate sucks, there's no private deal for you.
Yeah.
Like we're
There's no
dead.
deal to be had.
There's
true.
no deal to be had.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can spin anything with a good appraisal. Like, no matter what's going on, I'm like, hey, I got a takeout. Do you see this appraisal?
We got to start double checking Sarah's appraisals. Yeah.
Hopefully, Zach, you're listening to this episode.
Yeah. Zach already knows. He loves it. He's like, I love it when I see
For sure.
And when I see a deal from Sarah, he's like, I don't have
Oh,
to
yeah.
work too hard.
Yeah, for sure. I think we got it. Well, we're going to start wrapping up here, Neil. But do you want to?
The final question we had for you, and I think you saw it there, was just, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, especially when you started, is what's the best part about being a mortgage broker? What's the thing that you love the most?
I love solving problems.
Yeah.
I love being part of a client's life from like beginning to end. I love now that I'm doing some of their kids' mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the mortgage broker world is finally to a place where we're not a commodity. We're actually part of a client's financial plan. The mortgage broker has to be there from beginning to end. We are no different than your financial planner that's dealing with your investments. We are also dealing with your investments. And how is that being mitigated?
Your biggest investment, typically.
True.
Typically the biggest, but how is that being mitigated? How are we growing your family wealth? Because your kids can't buy houses in 20 years.
Yep.
What are we talking about? And like, it's that whole idea of financial planning and creativity and empathy and kindness and I get to do that on my schedule. Like, man, I can't get a better job. I
love
love
it.
my job.
You can tell.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Sarah.
Yeah.
I'll hit you with our bonus question that we'd like to throw at our guests.
Tell me.
What is the best pizza in Moncton, New Brunswick?
That's a really good question.
First time I've seen her hesitate.
Yeah, this is the only thing.
Well, I'm not
Not
like
a pizza reviewer.
I'm not a pizza eater.
Oh, you're not?
I'm so not. I
Wow.
mean,
What would people say is the best pizza in Moncton? Do you know?
I think Freddy's.
Freddy's. Okay,
I
that's a new
think-
one. From my
Um,
perspective, I don't know that one.
But I mean, like, I am such a Thai food, Vietnamese
Okay.
food.
Mm.
Like, give me sushi. Like, everybody
Yeah,
should go to
yeah.
Pink Sushi and eat sushi. Like, I call there and they're like, oh, hi, Miss Sarah.
My mom loves pink sushi.
I am a
fan.
so I'm not a big pizza person.
Oh,
I
wow.
would just order
Okay.
from Boston Pizza.
Okay.
I
Mm.
must skip the dishes app. And honestly, old school Ontario Sarah Albert
Yeah.
will tell you that pizza is my favorite.
That's awesome.
Really?
That's hilarious.
If I gotta just stop somewhere, it's gonna be pizza. And I don't even know that it's good, but it feels nostalgic to me from
There's
Ontario.
a flavor that
I
you taste.
I feel
Yeah.
like pizza is very divisive in Ontario. You've got the
Yeah.
people who like will fight to the death for it, and other
Yeah.
people say it's the most trash pizza in the
Yes.
world,
Oh
right?
my god, it's totally the most trash pizza. Like, give me my pepperoni and cheese pizza,
yeah.
and I feel like I'm 12
Yeah.
again.
I was
Their
saying that reminds me
garlic.
of school. Like, just
Yeah.
getting those damn pizza
And
boxes to the school.
The pizza boxes, we get it at Canada's
Yeah,
Wonderland.
that's cool.
Where I had
Yeah.
my first taste of freedom is
Yeah.
being dropped off at Canada's Wonderland. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, pizza.
Yeah, their roasted garlic dipping sauce is out of this world.
Right?
That's
So
good.
good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good.
It's all
Yeah.
about the dip.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, that was awesome. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh,
That
you're
was
welcome.
great
That's
and
fun.
sharing your stories. Neil, anything else?
No, I really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, so many stories.
Yeah, 100%. The property guy is really interesting to me. So
Oh, there's so much more there, man. Like,
yeah,
I know
we're meant to do a round 2 because I want to
We'll-
find out about
we'll
that.
do it over a drink.
I
Yeah.
Debrief.
definitely was one of my best and hardest life experiences, and I would not change it for the world.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's neat.
All right.
Thanks, Sarah.
Well, thanks everybody for listening.
Awesome.
Hey guys, it's Neil Andrino, your co-host and your co-founder at Keystone Capital and Director of Investor Relations. I'm also a real estate agent, real estate investor, and business owner.
And your co-host here, Ryan McNeil. I'm the co-founder and president of Keystone Capital Group. Keystone Capital Group is licensed under the Mortgage Regulations Act of Nova Scotia, license number 3000549, and through FCMB, license number 88799. And keep in mind, the views of this podcast are for informational purposes only and is not financial advice.